Clara Benson sat by her living room window, staring at the soft fall of snow on the quiet street outside. The winter evening was calm, almost too calm, and it reminded her painfully of the empty house she had grown used to over the years. Her children were grown, each building their own lives far away, leaving her with only memories and a hollow sense of time slipping by. The holidays, once filled with laughter, seemed smaller now, almost like shadows of themselves. Clara wrapped her hands around a steaming cup of tea, wishing for anything that might bring life back into her days. A sudden noise outside startled her. The sound of a car door shutting with a sharp thud made her heart jump. She turned quickly and saw a familiar figure standing in the driveway. Ryan, her son, with his warm, bright smile, was holding his coat tightly, snowflakes dotting his shoulders. "Mum," he called, a mix of laughter and relief in his voice. "I'm home for the holidays." Clara's heart skipped. She had expected the usual text messages, maybe a quick call, but not this Ryan standing in front of her. Taller now, more confident, yet still the same boy she had tucked into bed years ago. She rushed to him, and they embraced tightly. The hug was long and unspoken, filled with the weight of months apart, yet comforting in a way that words could never capture. When they pulled apart, Clara studied his face, noticing the subtle changes, the small signs of maturity, and felt a strange, warm surge of pride and nostalgia all at once. Inside, the house seemed to come alive. They moved toward the kitchen, shedding coats and scarves, and Ryan poured himself a cup of cocoa while Clara tried to steady her racing thoughts. He looked around, smiling softly, as if soaking in the familiar surroundings he had missed. "Mum," he began, a spark of excitement lighting his eyes. "I've been planning something for us." Clara tilted her head, curiosity mingling with caution. Ryan leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "A vacation. Just you and me. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere you can relax. I've arranged everything." Clara blinked, surprise and emotion washing over her. "Ryan, you didn't have to," she said, feeling her throat tighten. She had longed for moments like this, but had never expected such thoughtfulness. He shook his head gently, a smile tugging at his lips. "I wanted to, Mom. You've done so much for me all these years. I want you to enjoy this, to have something for yourself." The sincerity in his voice struck her deeply. Clara felt tears prick her eyes, and she turned to look out the window again, at the snow falling softly. She realized she had been living too much in routine, in the quiet ache of absence. And Ryan's arrival brought a sudden, bright reminder of connection, care, and family warmth. The evening passed quickly, with laughter and easy conversation filling the space that had felt so empty before. Ryan shared stories from his life in the city, his work, his small triumphs, and the little challenges that shaped him. Clara listened, smiling, sometimes laughing aloud, other times simply nodding, letting herself enjoy the moment without worrying about time or obligations. The house felt alive again, filled with energy she hadn't realized she had missed so much as night fell. They moved closer to the fireplace, its warmth wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Ryan's presence was comforting in a way that went beyond being her son. It was as though this visit had opened a door to feelings she had buried under routine and quiet. She was reminded of the deep bond they shared, one that had evolved from childhood into something richer and more tender. Clara realized, with a small, surprising thrill, that this holiday visit might mark the beginning of something new, a reconnection that went beyond simple family ties. Before going to bed, Clara walked to her bedroom window one last time. The snow shimmered under the streetlights, each flake a tiny reminder of the fleeting nature of moments like these. She felt a mix of excitement and gentle anxiety, wondering what the days ahead would bring. Ryan had not just returned. He had brought with him the promise of time spent together, moments that might heal the quiet ache she hadn't fully understood. She returned to the living room to find Ryan tidying up, humming softly. Their eyes met, and for a moment they shared a quiet understanding, a connection that needed no words. Clara felt her heart lift, a spark of joy and hope igniting within her. The holidays, she realized, had the power to bring surprises, to bring back warmth, and to remind her that love and care could flourish, even after long absences. That night, as Clara drifted to sleep, she felt anticipation stirring within her. Ryan's visit was more than just a holiday trip. It was an opportunity to rediscover closeness, laughter, and tenderness. The snow continued to fall outside, silent and steady, mirroring the quiet excitement building in her heart. She couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring, knowing that the days ahead promised warmth, connection, and perhaps a little bit of magic in the ordinary. Clara woke to the soft light of the winter morning streaming through the curtains, a sense of excitement bubbling quietly in her chest. Today was the start of their trip, the vacation Ryan had promised, and the idea of leaving the familiar streets behind filled her with both anticipation and a strange, nervous thrill. Ryan had already packed the car the night before, his careful planning evident in the neat stacks of blankets, snacks, and luggage waiting by the door. Clara smiled to herself, marveling at how organized and thoughtful he had become over the years. They set off through the crisp morning air, snow crunching beneath the tires as they drove along the winding country roads. The scenery shifted gradually from familiar neighborhoods to open fields blanketed in white, the trees dusted with frost, their branches sparkling in the weak winter sun. Clara felt her chest lighten with every mile, a sense of freedom washing over her. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to simply enjoy the journey, the presence of her son beside her making the car feel warmer than it was. Ryan chatted easily, sharing anecdotes from his life, his voice filled with energy and humor. Clara laughed at his stories, sometimes shaking her head at his exaggerations, other times feeling her heart swell with pride at the person he had become. There was a rhythm to their conversation, a natural ease that reminded her of the times when he was a child, yet now layered with the maturity and depth of adulthood. She realized how much she had missed not just his presence, but the sense of connection that came from truly seeing each other again. After a few hours, they arrived at the cabin, a small, rustic retreat nestled beside a frozen lake. The building seemed to emerge from the snow like something from a storybook, its large windows reflecting the pale winter light. Clara stepped out of the car, the cold air brushing her cheeks, and felt an immediate sense of wonder. The cabin was simple yet welcoming, with a stone chimney, a wooden porch, and the promise of warmth inside. Ryan hurried to open the door for her, and as they entered, the scent of pine and the faint hint of wood smoke greeted them, filling the space with a cozy charm. Inside, the cabin was everything Ryan had described: spacious but intimate, with a fireplace ready to crackle, soft rugs on the wooden floor, and a large window framing the frozen lake beyond. Clara ran her hands along the furniture, taking in the details: the neatly stacked firewood, the mugs waiting on the counter, and the small vase of winter flowers on the table. It was clear that Ryan had thought of everything, not just for comfort, but to create an atmosphere that felt peaceful and inviting. Her heart swelled with gratitude, a warmth that had little to do with the fire and everything to do with him. As they unpacked, Ryan hovered near her, asking questions in his gentle, careful way: what she might like for breakfast, if she wanted to unpack her favorite blanket first, or which window she preferred for reading. Clara felt a mix of amusement and affection. He was still the considerate son she knew, but now he carried a confidence and attentiveness that made her feel seen in a way that went deeper than she had expected. Every glance, every small gesture, seemed to say, "I know you, I care for you, I want you to enjoy this." That afternoon, they went for a walk along the edge of the frozen lake. The ice sparkled under the low winter sun, and the silence was broken only by the crunch of snow beneath their boots. Ryan walked a step ahead, then turned with a grin, waiting for her to catch up, and Clara felt a simple joy she hadn't known in months. They talked about everything and nothing, sharing memories, laughing at small mistakes from past holidays, and sometimes falling into comfortable silence, just listening to the quiet of the world around them. It was a reminder of the closeness they shared, a bond strengthened not by distance but by care, thoughtfulness, and the shared history that connected them. Evenings at the cabin were softer, slower, and full of quiet intimacy. They cooked together in the small kitchen, chopping vegetables, stirring sauces, and sharing playful banter. The fire crackled in the background, casting a warm glow across the room, and Clara felt a contentment she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. They talked about their hopes, dreams, and the little moments in life that often went unnoticed but carried the deepest meaning. Ryan's presence was grounding, his laughter infectious, and his attention unwavering. Clara realized that this vacation was more than a simple getaway. It was a chance to rebuild their connection, to enjoy time together without distraction, without expectation, just pure, shared moments. One night, as they sat by the fire with mugs of cocoa in their hands, Ryan reached over and squeezed her hand gently. "Mum," he said softly, "I wanted us to do this because I know how hard you've been working, how much you give. You deserve to rest, to feel happy. I wanted to see you smile like this." Clara looked at him, her heart catching in her throat. The depth of care in his eyes left her speechless for a moment. She nodded, feeling an overwhelming mix of pride, gratitude, and a quiet love that was tender and pure. The days passed quickly, each one filled with walks, talks, and quiet shared moments that deepened their bond. Clara began to understand that this vacation was not only a gift from Ryan, it was a chance to rediscover herself, to feel joy, and to realize that the connection between a mother and her child could grow even stronger with time and intention. By the end of part 2, the cabin felt like a small world of warmth and belonging, and Clara knew that this journey would leave a lasting impression on her heart, one that would carry far beyond the snow-covered days of winter. The mornings at the cabin had taken on a quiet, peaceful rhythm that Clara had almost forgotten existed. She woke early, listening to the soft creaking of the wooden floors and the faint whisper of wind across the frozen lake. Ryan was already awake, moving around the kitchen, making coffee and breakfast with the kind of ease that came from comfort and familiarity. The sight of him there, so calm and thoughtful, filled her with warmth. She realized that the vacation had given them more than just time away. It had given them moments to reconnect, to rediscover each other's presence in a way that was both gentle and meaningful. After breakfast, they decided to explore the wooded trail near the cabin. The snow crunched beneath their boots, the cold air crisp in their lungs, and the world around them seemed untouched and magical. Ryan walked slightly ahead, occasionally glancing back to make sure Clara was keeping up. Each time their eyes met, she felt a quiet thrill, a sense of closeness that went beyond the usual mother-son bond. It was subtle, a simple exchange of smiles and shared laughter, but it carried weight, a feeling of being seen and understood completely. As they wandered, Ryan pointed out small details: a cluster of red berries on a bush, the tracks of a deer in the snow, the way the sunlight reflected off the icy branches. Clara listened, laughing at his enthusiasm and marveling at how attentive he had become. She found herself sharing stories from her own youth, moments she had never told him before. And Ryan listened with rapt attention, asking questions, teasing gently, and sometimes just smiling in that quiet, knowing way that made her heart feel full. Back at the cabin, they settled in with warm blankets by the fire. The flames flickered across the room, casting soft shadows that danced along the walls, and Clara felt an almost cinematic sense of intimacy. Ryan pulled out a small notebook he had brought with him, filled with sketches and notes from his recent projects. He shared them with her, explaining the ideas and thoughts behind each page, and Clara marveled at his creativity and vision. She had always been proud of him, but seeing him in this light, relaxed, open, and sharing pieces of himself so freely made her pride deepen into a tender awe. The afternoon passed with quiet, shared activities. They cooked together, preparing a simple meal of roasted vegetables and fresh bread. Ryan moved around the kitchen with ease, handing Clara ingredients, asking for her opinions, and occasionally brushing against her shoulder, in a way that was casual yet comforting. Each touch, each glance felt meaningful, layering the day with emotions that Clara hadn't fully expected to feel. It was a reminder that connection could be deepened in the smallest, most ordinary moments, and that love could be expressed in countless subtle ways. Later, as the sun dipped low behind the frozen lake, they wrapped themselves in thick coats and stepped outside. The sky was painted in shades of pink and gold, reflecting off the ice in dazzling patterns. Ryan took her hand lightly, guiding her across the smooth surface of the lake where it was safe, and Clara felt a shiver not from the cold, but from the closeness, the gentle trust they shared. They laughed as they navigated the slippery ground, and for a moment, it felt as though they were the only two people in the world, caught in a perfect fleeting moment of joy. That evening, as snow began to fall softly, they returned to the cabin. Ryan lit the fireplace while Clara prepared tea, and soon they were sitting together, shoulders nearly touching, enveloped in warmth and quiet conversation. Ryan's voice was gentle, filled with a sincerity that tugged at Clara's heart. "Mom," he said softly, "I wanted this time with you because you mean more to me than I can ever say. I just want you to feel how special you are, how much I appreciate you." Clara felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, not from sadness, but from the depth of love and care she felt. She realized that Ryan's thoughtfulness went beyond the vacation itself. It was his way of showing her that she mattered, that their bond was unbreakable, and that the love between them could grow even richer with time and attention. She nodded, unable to find the words, and simply held his gaze, letting the emotion pass between them in silence. The nights at the cabin became a time of reflection and quiet joy. Clara found herself savoring every detail, the way Ryan's laughter filled the room, the warmth of his presence, the comfort of shared glances and unspoken understanding. They stayed up late sometimes, talking about dreams, fears, and the small moments that shaped their lives. Each conversation revealed new layers of connection, building a sense of intimacy that was tender, safe, and profoundly moving. By the end of part 3, Clara understood that this vacation had transformed something within her. It was not just an escape from the city or the quiet of her empty home. It was a journey into the heart of her relationship with Ryan. Every shared smile, every story told, every quiet moment by the fire had deepened their bond and brought a new awareness of love that was nurturing, tender and full of hope. She realized that this time together would leave a lasting imprint, one that would continue to shape their relationship long after the snow had melted and the cabin was behind them. The final morning at the cabin arrived faster than Clara had anticipated. The soft glow of sunrise filtered through the frost-covered windows, painting the room in shades of gold and pale pink. Clara awoke with a mixture of excitement and a quiet ache in her chest. The vacation had been everything she didn't know she needed, filled with laughter, warmth, and moments of closeness that she would carry with her forever. But now, as the reality of leaving settled in, she felt a tug at her heart. She didn't want this time to end. Ryan was already awake, humming softly as he packed their belongings. He moved with calm efficiency, yet his eyes frequently found hers, a silent acknowledgement of the memories they had shared over the past few days. Clara smiled, watching him, her heart full. There was a gentle grace in the way he cared for the small details, making sure everything was ready for their departure. And in that care, she felt an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude. They stepped outside for a final walk along the frozen lake, the crisp winter air filling their lungs and invigorating their spirits. The snow sparkled like tiny diamonds under the early sun, and the silence around them felt almost sacred. Ryan took her hand lightly, their fingers brushing, and Clara felt a warmth that had little to do with the temperature. They walked side by side, sharing stories, quiet laughter, and moments of reflection. Each step seemed to stretch time, making her wish the days could last a little longer. Ryan paused near the edge of the lake, turning to look at her with a seriousness that made Clara's heart skip. "Mum," he said softly, "I hope you know how much this time has meant to me. I wanted to make this special, to remind you how much you mean to me." Clara felt a lump in her throat, emotions swirling in a way that was both overwhelming and comforting. She nodded, unable to speak at first, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "Ryan, this has been perfect," she finally whispered, her voice trembling slightly. As they returned to the cabin, they took one last look around the space that had been their sanctuary. Clara noticed the little details she had grown to love, the flickering fire in the hearth, the books stacked neatly on the shelf, the snow-covered branches framing the window. Each element seemed to hold a memory now, a marker of the laughter, conversations, and quiet moments they had shared. Ryan lingered by the door, watching her, and Clara felt a profound sense of connection, the kind that goes beyond words and gestures, resting instead in presence and care. Packing the car was a quiet, unhurried process. Ryan made sure everything was secured, while Clara gathered the last of her belongings, taking small moments to pause and savor the scene around her. As they prepared to leave, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "Mum," he said gently, "this doesn't have to be just once. We can make more time, even if it's short trips, weekends, or little getaways. Life is too short not to spend it together when we can." Clara smiled, a wave of relief and joy washing over her. "I'd like that, Ryan, more than you know," she said, feeling the warmth of his presence envelop her like a protective embrace. The words carried a promise, not just of future trips, but of ongoing connection, care, and shared moments that would strengthen the bond between them even further. The drive home was filled with easy conversation, laughter, and a sense of comfort that Clara hadn't realized she had missed so deeply. They talked about the little things they wanted to do in the future, plans for the next weekend, ideas for meals they could cook together, books they might read side by side. Each suggestion, each plan, felt like a thread weaving their lives closer together, reinforcing the love and understanding they had nurtured during the vacation. As they neared their town, Clara looked out at the familiar streets, now dusted with snow and glowing in the late afternoon sun. She felt a mixture of contentment and anticipation. The vacation had been more than an escape. It had been a journey into the heart of her relationship with Ryan, a reminder of the depth, tenderness, and resilience of their bond. She knew that the memories they had created would linger long after the trip ended, carrying with them a warmth that would brighten even the quietest days at home. Arriving at her house, Clara and Ryan unloaded the car together. There was a comfortable silence between them, one filled with understanding and shared emotion. Ryan turned to her with a smile that was both playful and heartfelt. "Mum, thank you for coming on this trip with me. I hope it's just the first of many," he said. Clara laughed softly, tears brimming in her eyes. It's more than I could have hoped for, Ryan. Truly. As they stepped inside, the warmth of the home welcomed them back. But it was different now. The house no longer felt quiet or empty. It felt alive with the presence of connection, care, and love. Clara realized that the bond between her and Ryan had evolved during the vacation. It was deeper, tenderer, and more resilient than ever, grounded in shared experiences and the simple act of being together. That night, as Clara settled into bed, she thought about the past days, the walks in the snow, the quiet evening